Okay, so the guide likes the clothier and the zoologist, but dislikes the steampunker and the painter, while the painter loves the dryad, but dislikes the truffle and the cyborg. The merchant hates the angler, while the angler doesn't love anybody, yet the golfer loves the angler but hates the merchant. The tax collector loves the merchant who dislikes him in return, and nobody is happy, and everybody hates everyone, and nobody f***ing sells my f***ing pylons! Gah! How about we start over and make things simple? Hey there, my name is Salendrak and welcome to the third episode of my Terraria Beginner's Guide series. This series is intended for players who are new to Terraria, returning after a long hiatus, or otherwise struggling to make it through the game, and will guide you along the path of progression through beating the Moonlord. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about NPC Happiness. More specifically, I'll help you understand how the happiness system works so you can make your villagers happy and buy whatever pylons you might need. I'd originally planned to include pylon mechanics in this video, but as I'm quickly learning, in order to keep video lengths reasonable, I should probably stick to one main topic per video, so pylons will have to wait for a future episode. As with all episodes in the series, timestamps are down in the description, so feel free to hop around between topics or come back later for something specific. And as always, if you find this video helpful, informative, or at the very least somewhat entertaining, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to be notified of future episodes in the series. And with all that out of the way, let's get started! The happiness system was added to Terraria in the 1.4 Journey's End update. Prior to that, you could pretty much just cram your NPCs into a giant apartment building and they were perfectly content. But now, they've developed preferences. Likes and dislikes, some love each other and some are mortal enemies. And given how their happiness levels can impact the prices they charge for goods and services, not to mention enabling you to buy the quick travel pylons, it is in your best interest to keep at least the most important NPC villagers as happy as possible. So how does the happiness system work? Well, simply put, anything a villager likes will give them a 5% boost to their happiness, and anything they love will give them a 10% boost. Conversely, anything they dislike generally gives a 5% penalty, and anything they hate gives a 10% penalty. And whatever the sum total is of their boosts and penalties, they will either discount or increase the cost of their goods and services by that same amount. In other words, if an NPC has a net total of 10% happiness boosts, you'll get a 10% discount off the normal cost of that NPC's goods or services. Conversely, if, for example, they have a net 5% happiness penalty, you'll pay 5% more. Now, the actual math for how the game calculates total happiness is a bit more complex than that, particularly whenever there are lots of different boosts and penalties in effect at the same time. But for most general purposes, and especially when you're focused on actually making your villagers happy, simply adding up the boosts and penalties will generally work just fine. But if you want the details, see the description below for a link to a great video that has them all. Each NPC has a different mix of other villagers they love, like, dislike, or hate. The only way to figure it out on your own is to make them live within 25 blocks of each other and ask about their happiness. Or do it the easy way and simply check the wiki. Additionally, each NPC has a biome they like and one they dislike. The liked biome shows up in their bestiary entry, but like their neighbor preferences, figuring out the disliked biome requires experimentation or checking the wiki. In addition to neighbor and biome preferences, all villagers love having what I call a privacy bonus, and dislike being in a crowded area. To get the privacy bonus for a 10% happiness boost, there can't be more than 2 NPC villagers living within 25 blocks of each other, which I call roommates, and no more than 5 total villagers living within about 120 blocks of each other, or what I call a village area. Crowding is based on the number of NPCs living within 25 blocks of each other. Whenever you have 4 or 5 NPCs living too close together, they get hit with a 10% unhappiness penalty. Put 6 NPCs together and it goes up to 15%, and then 5% for each additional NPC beyond that. Moral of the story, keep your village areas to a maximum of 5 NPCs total and try to keep them either alone or in pairs within 25 blocks of each other. Note that the distance for crowding purposes is generally measured from the block just above the middle of the housing flags, though I have found exceptions, particularly when lots of platforms or irregularly shaped houses are involved. And it's easiest to gauge with straight horizontal or vertical distances, unless you're good at your Pythagorean theorem. Now, the maximum happiness an NPC can have is 25%, which is achieved by having a roommate they love in a biome they like, with no other neighbors within 25 blocks and no more than 3 other neighbors within 120 blocks. Put all that together and the NPC will have a 10% privacy bonus, a 10% loved neighbor bonus, and a 5% liked biome bonus for a 25% discount on all goods and services rendered, and a 133% bonus to commissions for all goods sold to the NPC. You might be tempted to increase an NPC's happiness by having them live close to both a loved and a liked NPC, but unfortunately that won't work. Even if they love and or like their neighbors, putting more than one neighbor close enough to get the neighbor bonus of 5 or 10% for liked or loved, respectively, causes you to lose the 10% privacy bonus for an overall net loss of happiness compared to a single neighbor. So remember, 2 is company, 3 isn't, and 4 or more is a crowd. Also, because some NPCs don't love anyone else, the maximum happiness of these NPCs will only be at most 20%. As for unhappiness, all NPCs hate being homeless or more than 120 tiles away from home, which will give them the maximum unhappiness and they'll charge you 150% of normal prices. Pro tip? Never buy anything from or sell anything to a homeless NPC or one away from home. Now, an important point to understand regarding biomes and happiness is that for purposes of a biome being liked or disliked, there is no such thing as a hybrid biome that counts as more than one biome type. Instead, the game uses a priority system, and whatever biome types may be technically present at the same time, only the highest ranked biome will actually be considered for applying a like or dislike effect on happiness. The priority order is as follows: 1st, Dungeon, 2nd, Corruption, and 3rd, Crimson. 4th, Glowing Mushroom, 5th, Hollow, 6th, Jungle, 7th, Snow, 8th, Ocean, 9th, Desert, 10th, your elevation level such as surface or cavern elevation, and finally, if nothing else is present, you're in the lowest rank biome, the generic forest. So what this means is that if you put someone like your Goblin Tinkerer in a cavern level jungle, he won't be very happy. Although he normally likes caverns, the game will treat his home as only a jungle for happiness purposes because jungle has higher priority over caverns. So he will get a 5% happiness penalty due to disliking the jungle, and he will not get any benefit for being in the cavern layer. Similarly, your arms dealer won't get a bonus for being in a hollow desert because for happiness it will only count as a hollow biome. Conversely, a wizard will be happy in a hollow ocean biome because even though he dislikes the ocean, the higher priority hollow trumps the ocean, and he will get the bonus for the biome he likes and will not get any penalty for technically being in a biome he dislikes. This is an important point to remember, especially in hard mode when your evil biome and the hollow biome can spread. In order to preserve your biome bonuses, you'll need to take steps to protect your housing areas from any encroaching hollow. And for all NPCs, you'll want to make sure you protect their homes from spreading crimson or corruption, as it will simply cause them to move out. We'll cover all that in a later video dealing with preparing for hard mode. As for how happiness relates to pylons, all you have to do to buy a particular pylon is make sure a vendor NPC is happy enough to discount their wares to 85% of normal price. Or put differently, make sure they have at least a 15% boost to their happiness, and then they'll sell the pylons of whatever biomes you're currently in. This can result in multiple pylons being offered in a hybrid biome, such as the aforementioned wizard in a hollow ocean biome. He'll sell both. And now that you understand that likes give a 5% discount and loves, including the privacy bonus, give a 10% discount, it's really easy to figure out how to get any given pylon. But to help you out, here's a few examples. For the forest pylon, just make sure that your merchant lives in the forest, 5% bonus because he likes it, and has privacy, 10% bonus, and he'll sell the forest pylon. Need the ocean pylon? try sticking the golfer with the angler. The golfer loves the angler, so that's a 10% happiness boost, and give them a privacy bonus for another 10%, and the golfer will sell the ocean pylon for 20% off, or 8 gold, instead of its full price of 10 gold. Want a desert pylon? Well, that one's super easy, barely an inconvenience. Just stick the Lovebirds of the nurse and the arms dealer together, and the arms dealer will sell the pylon. In fact, whenever you pair a vendor NPC with a neighbor they love, you can put them in any biome, including a disliked biome, and they will still sell the pylon as long as they have a privacy bonus. Yeah, you'll get a 5% happiness penalty due to being in a disliked biome, but the privacy bonus of 10% and the loved neighbor bonus of 10%, less the 5% disliked biome penalty, still puts you at 15% happiness, just enough to get the pylon. And here's a final tip about rearranging your NPCs to get pylons purchased, even if the NPC placement is only temporary to get the pylon. It is simply this: do it at night. NPCs will automatically warp to their home from anywhere in the world between 7:30 p.m. and 4:30 a.m. if the NPC and the NPC's home are off screen. This will allow you to set the housing flags, move away, and then come back to purchase the pylon. You can then reassign other NPCs there and then use the pylon to warp somewhere else, assuming the requirements for pylon operation are otherwise satisfied, which we'll cover in a future video. Well, thanks for watching, and hopefully by now you understand the happiness system well enough that you can make any NPC as happy as you like, either by figuring things out yourself or utilizing the data from the wiki. You'll find as you gain experience in Terraria that you favor certain NPCs over others, so by all means do what you can to facilitate the happiness of the NPCs you like, and feel free to torture those you don't care for. In the next video, I'm going to shift gears and get back into something more gameplay oriented, and we'll be covering some early game activities to get your gear progression rolling and prepare you for your first boss fights and events. As always, if you've learned a thing or two from this video, please hit that like button, and I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and help me grow the channel. Stay happy out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!